Hello 558 students. It is good to see you again and it is good to make another video. It is Valentine's Day for me, so I am all pink, all in with my little Snoopy Happy Valentine's Day mug. Let's see if we can get it straight. You're probably watching this a few days after Valentine's Day, but I hope you had a great weekend, and also I hope that you got a couple days off from the President's Day holiday. And most of all, I hope that you are ready to jump back into some SPSS work. So today's video is going to kick off several videos, and we are going to learn how to do all kinds of things. So this video is really going to focus on making frequency tables and distributions. So we are going to make a frequency table with the data set that Dr. Ko provided us with. It should be in the Canvas shell, so if you want to follow along and practice right along with me, that would probably be really helpful to you. We are going to start by making a frequency table, but we're going to use a continuous variable, and you will see that continuous variables are actually not really designed for frequency tables. Usually frequency tables, we're going to use some sort of categorical data. So we're actually going to take that continuous variable and transform it into a categorical variable. After that, we're going to do some recoding, and we're going to talk about making code books and having some sort of cheat sheet or code book close by you for that. And that will be important in this video and in a future video. Finally, we are going to go into our variable view, and we're going to change the labels that kind of fit the categories of our categorical variable. So that kind of sounds strange right now, but it will all make sense to you very, very soon. So without further ado, let's go ahead and switch our screen over to the computer screen and jump into making frequency tables. To make our frequency tables and our recoding of our variables, we are going to use the same data set that we've been using, that ELS file. And so you can have yours open and work right along with me if you find that helpful. But the first thing we're going to do is to make a frequency table. So it doesn't really matter which view you're looking at. You can look at the variable view or the data view. That doesn't really matter when you are running your analysis. But let's go ahead and make our table. So the first thing we're going to do is come up to the top and where it says Analyze, we're going to click on that. And then we're going to go down to Descriptive Statistics and then to Frequencies. And we want to look at hours worked per week. So we're going to scroll down, and you can see, actually this is kind of helpful, you can see where like in the little viewfinder you only see the abbreviation of the file, but if you kind of hover it will actually show you the whole question. But we're going to scroll down here, and we want this first one, that hours worked per week. You can either double click it or click the little arrow, and then we're going to click OK. And this is what comes up. So this is the frequency table for how many hours somebody works per week. And as you can see straight away, this is not very user-friendly to interpret, to analyze, to look at, and it's just kind of like a lot of information that you even have to sort out to think about how am I even going to use this. So to solve that problem, what we are going to do is take this continuous variable. And that's part of why it's a little bit of a problem, is because when we're working with continuous variables, running frequency tables is a little bit of a mess like this. It's just kind of a lot to work with. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this continuous variable of hours worked per week, and we're going to make it a categorical variable. And we're going to put them into categories of working 0 hours per week, 1 to 10, and so on. So let's go ahead and look at that. The first step we're going to do to recode our variable is to go up here to transform. So now we're going to click transform, and then we're going to click recode into a different variable. So we're going to go down here, recode into different variables. We're going to click on that. And then we are going to find, so remember, I think one of the first lessons that we talked about are little icons, and so that can help us because we know we're looking for a ruler, which is continuous, and we want that first one, hours worked per week, and it's by work hours, so that's what we're looking for. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to rename that first. So then we're going to go over here to where it says name, and I'm just going to make it really similar. I'm going to say by WRKHRS underscore, because again we don't like spaces, and I'm going to put cat for categorical. Now my label, if you remember when we do our variable view, my label can have spaces, and that's kind of where like I explain what this is. So for this, I'm going to say hours worked per week, and then I'm going to put in parentheses categorical. And then I'm going to click change. So that's my first step. So now I just created a new variable and a categorical variable. So now I'm going to go over here to change the values for it. So it's old and new values. So I'm going to click on that. And before I get into typing this in the old and new values coding system, I'm going to take a minute just to show you how to have some sort of little code book or cheat sheet next to you. And it's quite literally just a screenshot from the PowerPoint that we use when this class is being taught in person. And you'll see that when we're done, this is what our final product will look like. But you will want to make yourself like a code book or a code notebook or something nearby that you can keep track of everything. So what you're going to see in just a minute is me typing this in, but this is the code I'm following, is that 0 hours is going to equal 0, 1 to 10 hours is going to equal 1, and so on. So in another video, you're going to see where I just like scribbled this on a piece of paper next to me. And if you need something to be more formal, I wouldn't recommend going that route. I would recommend actually making some sort of code book, but for the purposes of this assignment, just have some sort of code next to you that you can refer to when you are recoding on SPSS. And now you will see how I do that. And then I'm going to go to my old value, and my old value was 0. And my new value is going to be 0 again. So that one stays the same, and then I'll click add. Now my next old value is going to be a range. So I'm going to come down here to this range, and I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to say 1 through 10, and my new value is going to be 1. Then I'm going to click add. Then we're going to come down here, and my old value range is 11 through 20, and my new value is going to be 2, and click add. So let me run through that, and then I'll meet you back here in just a minute. Okay, for the last one, I'm going to do something different. I'm actually going to come down here where it says range value through highest. This last value will be 41 through the highest number. So we'll just leave that, and then my new value for it will be 5, and I'm going to click add. Okay, so that's what I'm transforming it to. So let's go ahead and click continue and click OK. Now let's go ahead and run it again to see what it looks like. So I'm going to go back up to Analyze, Descriptive, Frequencies. And notice right away that it has the variable we just used, which was a continuous variable, and that's not what we want to use this time. We want to use the new variable we just made. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to push that back over into this, and we're going to scroll down to the bottom. Almost always they're going to be at the very bottom, and you can see that this is the right variable. So I'm going to click at that. Then I'm going to click OK, and now let's look at what we have. All right, so we are getting somewhere now. This is much easier to work with, much easier to interpret, and now we have our categorical variable off to the side. But we can still make it a little bit better. So what does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on mean to anybody else? Not much. So now what we're going to do is we're going to change the labels over here so that anybody can read this and know exactly what it means. So we have one more step to do. So let's go ahead and do that now. So now our last step is to assign value labels. So we are going to go over here to our variable view. So now it does matter that we're over here, and we're going to go over to our values. So we're going to click on that, and we did this, I believe, in one of the other videos. So that part should feel familiar, and we want to make sure we do that new variable. That's the categorical variable, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of add a bunch in here and make it a little bit easier. So now what we're going to do is that value of 0, that means 0 hours. So now I'm going to say 1, that is going to be 1 through 10 hours. All right, so I'm going to just kind of finish filling this out. So I'll meet you back here in a minute. So now I have all of my new labels, and I made a couple extra of these, so I'm just going to delete those now. And then I'm going to click OK. So let's go ahead and run it one more time and see what we have. So we're going to say Analyze, Descriptive, Frequencies, and our variable is the same. We just changed the labels, but we're still using this categorical variable that we just made. And we're going to click OK. And now we have this. So we have the frequency of someone working 0 hours per week, the percent. Then over here we have 1 through 10 hours and the frequency and percent and so on. Now we have a frequency table that is much more meaningful and much easier to interpret than what we started with, which is up here. I want to leave you with 2 final thoughts before we close out this video. The first thing is that frequency tables and distributions, like what we've worked on here, and pie graphs and bar charts, which we'll see in another video, are all better used for categorical data, and histograms and box plots are better for continuous variables. So you'll see all of that in the next video, but I just wanted to point it out here. And the second thing I wanted to point out is that you do not always have to recode. So in this video we did several things, but the reason we recoded is because of just how much information this was and how difficult it was to make meaning of this. But there are times when you can make a frequency chart, a bar graph, a pie chart, histograms and box of whisker plots, and you will not need to recode. So we're showing you multiple things in these videos, but just keep in mind that we're just giving you tools for your toolbox, and you're not going to have to recode every single time. Do it when it makes sense and when you need your data to go from looking like this to looking like that. That was it for this video, and I hope you now feel really comfortable knowing how to transform a variable from one type of level of measurement to a new type of level of measurement. We'll see you in the next video very, very soon.